Number 989, Bioenergy. 今回ですね、実際にチャット GPT でも予約したもので、この報告書ですね、IEA の報告書のところを見たんですけれども、この生物資源をエネルギーとして利用するバイオエネルギーの現状や将来の展望について国際エネルギー IEA が分析したものですということで、バイオエネルギーは再生可能エネルギーの一つであり、温室効果ガスの削減やエネルギー安全保障の確保など多くのメリットがあると。現在のバイオエネルギーの主な利用形態はバイオマス発電や生物燃料である。まさにこの2つなんですね。バイオエネルギーは、物価のな林業や農業の発展につながる可能性があり、地域社会の経済発展にも貢献できると。バイオエネルギーの利用には、バイオマスの調達、供給、技術の開発、普及環境面での配慮など課題があると。バイオエネルギーの将来の展望としては、新たなバイオマスの利用形態の開発や、化石燃料との競合を避けるために研究開発が必要であると。バイオエネルギーは、再生可能エネルギーの一つであるが、バイオマスの調達や利用に伴う環境負荷も存在する。そのため、持続可能なバイオマス利用に向けた国際的な枠組みの整備が必要であると。バイオエネルギーの普及に向けた取り組みは、政府政策支援、技術開発、国際協力などが必要であるみたいなところがまとめで書いてありましたと。Demand for bioenergy production will increase but must be achieved sustainably. Modern bioenergy is the largest source of renewable energy globally, accounting for 55% of renewable energy and over 6% of global energy supply. The net zero emissions by 2050 scenario sees a rapid increase in the use of bioenergy to displace fossil fuel to 2030. Use of modern bioenergy has increased on average by about 7% per year between 2010 and 2021 and is on an upward trend. More efforts are needed to accelerate modern bioenergy development to get on track with the net zero scenario, which sees deployment increase by 10% per year between 2021 and 2030, while simultaneously ensuring that bioenergy production does not incur negative social and environmental consequences. In accordance with these sustainability considerations, there is no expansion on crop land and bioenergy nor conversion of existing forested land into bioenergy crop production in the net zero scenario. Bioenergy is a source of energy from the organic material that makes up plants, known as biomass. Biomass contains carbon absorbed by plants through photosynthesis. When this biomass is used to produce energy, the carbon is released during combustion and simply returns to the atmosphere, making modern bioenergy and promising near-zero emission fuel. Modern bioenergy is the largest source of renewable energy globally, accounting for 55% of renewable energy and over 6% of global energy supply. The net zero emission by 2050 scenario sees a rapid increase in the use of bioenergy to displace fossil fuel by 2030. Use of modern bioenergy has increased and on average by about 7% per year between 2010 and 2021 and is on the upward trend. More efforts are needed to accelerate modern bioenergy development to get on track with the net zero scenario, which sees deployment increase by 10% per year between 2021 and 2030, while simultaneously ensuring that bioenergy production does not incur negative social and environmental consequences. Bioenergy has a critical role to play in getting on track with the net zero scenario. Bioenergy is an important pillar of decarbonization in the energy transition as a near zero emission fuel. Bioenergy is useful because there is flexibility in the context and sectors it can be used in, from solid bioenergy and biogases combusted for power and heat in homes and industrial plants to liquid biofuel used in cars, ships, and airplanes. Furthermore, it can often take advantage of existing infrastructure. For instance, biomethane can use existing natural gas pipeline and end-user equipment, while many drop-in liquid biofuels can use existing oil distribution networks and be used in vehicles with only minor alternation. Bioenergy use needs to increase in a wide variety of applications by 2030 to get on track with the net zero scenario, including the following. Biojet kerosene use in air travel increases from near zero in 2021 to account for over 7% of all aviation fuel demand in 2030. Liquid biofuel consumption quadrupled from 2.1 in 2021 to over 8 in 30, mainly for road transport. Bioenergy use in industry increases substantially from supplying a little over 11 EJ of energy in 2021 to over 17 EJ in 2030, mostly in cement, pulp, and paper and light industry. Bioenergy used for electricity generation provides dispatchable low-emission power to complement generation from variable renewables. Its use nearly doubles from creating about 750 terawatt-hour of electricity, about 2.5% of total demand in 2021, to about 1,350 terawatt-hour, about 3.5% of total demand in 2030. Bioenergy with carbon capture and storage, which creates negative emissions by capturing and storing bioenergy emissions that are already carbon neutral, or also plays a critical role. BECCS captured and stored 2 megatons of CO2 in 2021 and increases to around 250 megatons of CO2 in 2030, offsetting emissions from sectors where abatement will be most difficult. Aligning with the net zero scenario will require not only increasing modern bioenergy use, but also phasing out traditional use of biomass. Total global bioenergy use in 2030 under the net zero scenario is only about 20% higher than in 2021. Also, this by itself is quite misleading. Over 35% of the bioenergy used in 2021 was from biomass for traditional cooking methods, practices that are unsustainable, insufficient, polluting, and linked to 5 million premature deaths in 2021 alone. The use of this traditional biomass falls to zero by 2030 in the net zero scenario in order to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goal 7 on affordable and clean energy. Modern bioenergy usage, which excludes traditional use of biomass, nearly doubles from about 42 EJ in 2021 to 80 EJ in 2030. The scenario sees the traditional use of biomass in rural areas replaced by biogas digesters, ethanol, and solid biomass used in modern cook stoves, providing a source of clean cooking for over 350 million households by 2030. Sustainable bioenergy also provides a valuable source of employment and income for rural communities, reduces undue burdens on women who often tasked with fuel collection, brings health benefits from reduced air pollution and proper waste management, and reduces methane emissions from waste decomposition. More needs to be done to phase out the traditional use of biomass, as its use in absolute terms has stayed relatively constant since 2016. Including bioenergy production sustainably will be necessary to get on track with the net zero scenario. Bioenergy comes from the variety of different sources. Some bioenergy sources, such as black liquor from paper production, are the byproduct of the industrial process that would have taken place anyway. More commonly, though, bioenergy is sourced from purpose-grown crops on trees in the highly land-intensive process relative to other forms of energy. Unsustainable bioenergy production can have social consequences, such as impact on food prices and competition for land use, as well as negative environmental externalities, such as worsened biodiversity and net increases in emissions. Meeting the net zero scenario will require bioenergy production to increase, but care must be taken to ensure that doing so does not result in significant negative impacts for society or the environment. In accordance with these sustainability considerations, there is no expansion of crop land for bioenergy, nor conversion of existing forested land into bioenergy crop production in the net zero scenario. Under this scenario, in 2030, 60% of bioenergy supply comes from waste and residues that do not require land use. Policymakers are increasingly putting schemes in place to support bioenergy use in their economies. Many jurisdictions are making moves that suggest they see a significant long-term role for bioenergy in the energy transition. These increase. Over 80 countries currently have policies supporting liquid biofuels. A number of countries, including Canada, China, Lithuania, and the United States have announced since 2021 that they are investing significantly in the research and development of biofuels. Additionally, the United States passed the Inflation Reduction Act in August 2022, which includes extended and new policy support for biofuels, particularly advanced fuels and sustainable aviation fuels. India updated its biomass co-farming policy in 2021 with a focus on utilizing agricultural residue and aim to reduce air pollution in rural areas. Since 2021, Brazil, Sweden, and the United Kingdom have put in place policies for the further development of biofuel in their economics. Implement frameworks for sustainable bioenergy production. It is crucial that the increased bioenergy production needed to get on track with the net zero scenario does not create negative impacts on the biodiversity, freshwater systems, food availability, or human quality of life. Only bioenergy that reduce life cycle GHG emissions while avoiding unacceptable social, environmental, and economic impacts should receive policy support. The European Union, the United States, through a minimum GHG threshold in the RFF program and incorporation of indirect land use change into California LCFS, and Brazil have established frameworks to codify some aspects of liquid biofuel sustainability. But other countries must also ensure that rigorous sustainability governance is linked to bioenergy policy support. In addition to this, monitoring, reporting, and verification frameworks should be employed to address accounting issues related to the use of bioenergy in power generation, especially in relation to negative emissions accounting for BECCS. Implement policies that incentive the use of bioenergy to reduce emissions. National governments can employ a combination of regulatory measures such as mandates, low carbon fuel standards, and GHG intensity targets to incentivize modern bioenergy usage. These policies should be implemented within the large framework for reducing emissions, such as emissions pricing, to ensure that policies provide the incentives to reduce emissions, not simply increase bioenergy demand. Recognize bioenergy benefits and weakness in policy design. Bioenergy offers high flexibility in reducing emissions, able to replace fossil fuel in a variety of contexts. At the same time, sustainability constraints stemming from land use, social and environmental externalities preclude it from being as widely used as alternatives like electricity in the path to net zero. Bioenergy policy design should therefore target the highest value uses for bioenergy in energy sector, including its use in existing infrastructure, its potential to produce high energy density fuels for long distance transport, its dispatchability to support the integration of variable renewables into the grid, and its usefulness in meeting border policy objectives, such as waste management and rural development. Power sector policies can design options suited to specific grid stability requirements and demand profiles. While power is needed at different times of the day and year, while fuel policies can incentivize use in hand to abate areas like aviation, integrate energy from waste into waste management, and promotes the use of waste and residue feedstocks for liquid biofuel production. Policies incentivizing greater use of waste and residue as fuels will be important to get bioenergy on track. Supporting waste and residue-based energy used in Latin America, China, and ASEAN countries would be particularly fruitful as these regions possess significant feedstock resources. Relevant policies include de-risking measures such as loan guarantees and biofuel quotas for emerging fuels. The European Parliament, for example, adopted sustainable aviation fuel blending targets in July 2022 to support its expansion using waste and residue-based fuels. Improving waste collection and sorting is also necessary to expand energy from waste EFW capacity. In Europe, policies that discourage sending waste to landfill, such as landfill bans or taxation, have promoted